So listen, everything has gone to shit. We can agree on that. But here's the thing that I'm struggling with. One of the things that look, when I was a kid and things were scary in the news, the thing that would make me feel better was comedy. I'm a comedy fan who became a comedian. This is just a hobby that got out of hand, which is certainly what my father has been telling my elderly Indian relatives for the last 3 years, which is an upgrade on the previous decade when he told them I was on a gap year for 10 years. And those people have got to be thinking, jail. This kid is 100% in jail. I was just a comedy fan who became a comedian. When I was 13 years old, I made my parents bring me to this room to watch Goodness Gracious Me live in 1999. I sat right in the back row up the top there, and we watched Goodness Gracious Me, and it was the most exciting night of my young life. Are there any children under the age of 18 in here tonight? One that definitely doesn't sound like a child. Yes. Is that a child or Ray Winston? Shout your ages, how old are you? Sorry, 17 and 14? Fuck me, it's like running an auction at R. Kelly's house. I'm sorry. I felt guilty about that as it left my mouth. I really enjoy one person loved it so much that they just clapped through the entire thing. No regrets, baby! Is there a 14-year-old in? Yeah. What's your name? Leon. Leon, I've got to tell you, brother, you sound 35. Leon, are you here with your parents? Yeah. Okay, I just briefly want to address Leon's parents. In about 20 minutes, there is going to be a piece of material that happens on the stage for which I am sorry. Because here's the thing, the problem is not that your 14-year-old is not going to understand, it's that they are. And that's going to be a talking point. Don't worry, I'll point it out when it happens. But I was a kid like you. I made my parents speak. And I think part of the reason that I was so drawn to comedy was a way of making serious things seem less scary. So the thing that made me feel better about racism when I was a kid wasn't my teacher's well-meaning but earnest lectures. It was the stand-up comedy of Chris Rock or the sketches on Goodness Gracious Me. That's the thing that fired my imagination at a tender age. Now, the problem is that right now, when I need comedy the most, comedy and comedians have let me down. Let's start where everything starts for me, with The Simpsons. I started watching The Simpsons when I was 4 years old. I have no memory of my life without The Simpsons. It's not that The Simpsons influenced my comedy, it's that The Simpsons built my fucking brain! Now, that puts me in a slightly awkward position because The Simpsons is currently embroiled in an ugly public row with my friend, the Indian-American comedian Hari Kondabolu. Hari made a documentary called The Problem with Apu about why having a white actor voice Apu seems a tad culturally regressive. It was a long-form, detailed, well-argued piece written and presented by Hari, who is a self-confessed Simpsons obsessive. Instead of engaging with this documentary meaningfully, The Simpsons simply had an episode which opened with Lisa looking down the barrel of the camera, and I know there's no camera. I know The Simpsons isn't real! I don't think it's a documentary about a town tragically afflicted by jaundice. I just can't think of a better way of phrasing that. They just had Lisa look down the barrel of the camera and say this: something that started decades ago and was inoffensive and applauded is now considered politically incorrect. What can you do? Now, my first thought when I saw that should have been this: well, that is a real shame that they haven't engaged with the substantive body of Hari's documentary and have instead slapped him down with the phrase political correctness gone mad. It's a constant source of frustration for people of colour when this happens because it throttles debate and prevents us from growing and devolving as a society. Oh! I wish that had been what I thought. It's so clever. In reality, it took me 45 minutes to write, and what I really thought was, don't fucking bring Lisa into this! Not our Lisa Simpson! Give it to Superintendent Chalmers or the pimple-faced kid from the cinema. Do not put those words in the mouth of the moral compass of a generation. So, The Simpsons let me down. Then things got worse. When I was 18 years old, my favourite television show was The Office. I adored The Office. I used to be able to quote it from episode 1 until the end of the Christmas specials, and Ricky Gervais was my hero. Did anyone see Ricky Gervais's most recent stand-up show, Humanity? It's the fucking shittest thing I've ever seen in my life! It's a fucking piece of shit! The first 10 minutes are shit comedy. No judgments, we've all done that. Some of us are doing it right now. But Then the next 10 minutes is just him having a go at trans people. Guys, why is everyone so angry with trans people? What did they do? There's like 12 of them. Why is everyone so upset? Everyone's like, oh, do you say he or she? I don't know, ask. It's not an unsolvable conundrum. Also, in my experience, trans people are not deliberately mysterious when you do ask. It's not like you ask and they go, ooh, ooh, I'll never tell. You're thinking of poltergeists. And there are a lot of people, to be fair, most of them cisgendered heterosexual men who say things like this. Oh, if you let trans women use women's bathrooms, then they'll do sex attacks. Now, there's a few problems with that. Firstly, to be fair, they don't say do sex attacks. Secondly, trans people are overwhelmingly the victims of sexual violence more so than they are the perpetrators of it by an unbelievably large amount. And thirdly, do you honestly think if there is someone out there willing to commit a sex attack, arguably the worst thing one human being can do to another, do you honestly think if there is someone out there, regardless of their gender identity, who has done the logical gymnastics required in going into thinking that you can perpetrate the worst thing one human being could do to another, do you honestly, do you think they're currently being put off by a sign on a door? This has never happened. Oh, I'm going to do such a big sex attack. Oh, it's going to be the biggest sex attack. Oh, it's going to be the biggest sex... Oh, sorry, I didn't realise this was the ladies. That's never happened. Fuck Ricky Gervais. Fuck Ricky Gervais. Because what he's doing is not edgy or interesting. He seems to think that it makes him an edgy or interesting comedian. It's not. All he is just the same as every other rich white dude comedian who gets too successful, runs out of ideas, and so just shits on the latest minority group. In the 1970s, that was my fucking family. It was black and minority ethnic people. In the 80s, it was gay people. Trans people are just the latest to get it in the neck from comedians who can't be bothered to try at their jobs anymore. I cannot stand there and watch another dogshit comedian go, ooh, if a woman can identify as a man, maybe I'll identify as a chair. Why don't you identify as a good comedian, you hack motherfuckers?